Hello everyone, hope all is well, and thanks for tuning into Moose Motion. So during this video, we'll be restoring one of my little favorite characters from Ice Age, Scrat, my little clay rat in this case.
Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well, and thank you for tuning into Moose Motion. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed the content, comment below what you think, share with your friends, and perhaps consider subscribing if you're new, and be sure you have your post notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the new content. Anyway, thank you for your support, it's highly appreciated.
So, like I previously stated at the very beginning of this video, we'll be fixing my little clay Scrat here. So we're going to start by scraping off this cheap, gross sticky tack at the bottom of his feet because, well, it was dollar store stuff and it was just leaving weird stringy stuff everywhere and causing a big problem. So replace that with some actual nice stuff. Now we're going to move on to a little bit of arm/shoulder surgery. Ooh, that was a little bit of a tongue twister there to say. But basically what the issue is he's got a broken elbow, so we're basically going to have to reconstruct the actual joints here, as well as I noticed his shoulder's a little fractured. He had a little bit more movement in one arm in comparison to the other, so we're just going to make a little replacement bone, essentially, and glue it in place once it's all baked up. But first we got to kind of, well, shape it to, well, the previous fracture. And seeing how the arm is torn apart, this bone is a little loose, so we may as well give that a little bit of super glue just to kind of make sure that that doesn't become a problem later on, seeing how the arm is completely taken apart. And we're just going to use a little, well, sharp end of a little sculpting tool here to basically make sure the glue is evenly distributed around the joint of the bone, so that way we don't have problems when it moves around. Now we're going to move on to, well, fixing the broken elbow. So what we're going to do, because we're going to have to be kind of clever here in order to make sure that it's fixed and the joint still has plenty of movement, we're going to basically construct a little bone sleeve over the old bone and just slide that onto the armature wire, gluing it inside the hole essentially, therefore leaving a bit of the armature wire actually exposed, not actually, well, making his elbow at that point completely useless because he's an armature doll for stop motion, so he needs to have full capability for movement. Now that those parts are in the oven, we're going to move on to the face, where basically I want to remove the armature wire that is actually in his face because, well, at the beginning I was thinking it was going to be helpful for support, but in the end it became more of a pain in the butt, given that Scrat really has a whole lot of wacky movements going on with his nose to get a bunch of facial expressions. So to get the added flexibility that I wanted or needed for those really cartoony movements, the armature wire in this case is basically gotta go. Now for my regular viewers who are a little more attentive to this certain moose character that tends to pop up, and don't worry, those of you who may be new, I will explain in a bit. First, shout out to Tiger HD, who I kind of owe one to from a previous video, probably a couple months ago. Unfortunately, I kind of missed the comment where he time-stamped correctly when Milton the Moose showed up. And, well, he kind of noted that Milton the Moose was everywhere in my last repair job video, so this time he is going to magically appear in a frame, and, well, if you timestamp correctly, new people, when he shows up, you'll get a shout out and your comment pinned at the top of the comment section. So good luck, and Tiger HD has definitely got the eye of the tiger when it comes to spotting that moose, so he's going to be your main competition, obviously. Now, obviously Milton is on the list to get fixed, which is why he was kind of everywhere. Anyway, back to Scrat, where he's basically just going over some, well, minor facial reconstructive surgery, I guess one could say. I don't know if that's very minor, but in the claymation world, it's really not that big of a deal because these kind of things tend to happen fairly frequently. So there's a couple little things we're going to touch up while we're working on his head. Give him a couple little teeth touch-ups, fix up some cracks, kind of play around with his face, find out where all the weak spots are, and just make sure that it's all reinforced, so that way we're not fixing things on frame, because I can't, well, emphasize enough how irritating it is to try and fix something mid-frame while doing stop motion, so that's part of the reason we're going through these dolls, to make sure that's not a problem in the future for my next upcoming animations. Now we're going to basically fix up his arm now that we're done with all the work on the head for now, which doesn't entitle any major rocket surgery. It's basically just reapplying the plasticine sections that were cut off, well, surgically removed, and, well, just have to reattach them essentially. And we're going to probably fix a little few things while we're at it, including his right hand fingers. Yes, right hand. Unfortunately, I'm slightly dyslexic and I get left and right confused sometimes, and well, this is kind of an awkward situation when you're facing it in a camera. P.S. Don't worry about the band-aid on my thumb. Unfortunately, I did kind of just do a minor scrape in, well, doing some yard work, which you will get to see some, well, tours of my yard towards the end of the video, where we decide to take, well, the finished Scrat on a slight adventure, which you probably could gather at the very beginning of the intro, where he's standing on a tree and just kind of awkwardly staring at the camera. Now, that's not too far away at this point, to be actually honest. We just have to do a bit of cleaning and add some fresh clay to certain spots, giving him a few more layers on some low ones, obviously, and giving him a nice new fresh layer of clay on his nose. Now, if you haven't done so already, be sure to leave a like so I know all my hard work is appreciated. Comment below what you think of the little clay Scrat, or rat, clay Scrat rat. I don't know what to really call him. I like to have fun with that name sometimes, but he's obviously a Scrat, just a slightly, well, different color than the normal one. And if you're new to the channel, perhaps consider subscribing if you're new, and check out some of the claymations that I've done, because, well, not gonna lie, it's kind of been a while since I've done one, and the main reason I wanted to fix up Scrat here was, well, so he could fight Sue in the background, which is, well, obviously my T-Rex, for those of you who are aware of some dinosaur nerd trivia and would perhaps like more of that kind of content, be sure to check out the Spinosaurus restoration as well, where I kind of go a little bit more into depth about my love for dinosaurs, obviously. Which obviously kind of shows too, because Scrat's kind of been, well, known to mess around with dinosaurs in some of the movies that he's been in. So let's have some fun with that in the future, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. Now going back to the old topic of colors, now this one's kind of a weird one and a lesson that I've had to learn the hard way throughout years of experience doing, well, sculpting. And for those of you who are unaware, I've been doing this kind of thing for about 25 years. Now, this is a tip I actually got from Aardman Animation because I happen to be a big fan of Wallace and Gromit, actually. For those of you who are perhaps not exactly aware, maybe a bit younger, and not know who that is, be sure to go check out his cartoons, or Nick Park's cartoons, or Aardman Animation's his company, technically, because, yeah, that's where a vast majority of my inspiration has come from, is that guy. Any rate, apart from my rant on, well, how much I love Wallace and Gromit, the color thing is basically kind of a weird one. Now, as fun as it is to sometimes go with custom colors, I would highly recommend never kind of doing that, or avoiding it, or keeping it as simple as possible, because once you mix a color, you are never going to be able to mix that again, no matter how hard you try. So the reason Scrat in this case is a bit of a funny color in comparison to the original animated version is because, well, this is about as close as I could get with a mass production that was available, well, in Canada, eh? So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that when touch-ups came to touch-ups, I wasn't going to have a bunch of weird, funny colored patches, and I would be able to consistently have the same colors. Now, speaking of custom colors, actually his back here is a custom color, so this is kind of one of those moments where I'm gonna basically say, do as I say, not as I do, and well, hopefully future me doesn't have any problems with the back color. If not, we'll just make a new custom one. That's future me's problem, because yeah, screw that guy! I don't like him very much anyway. Now, just a couple few easy steps before Scrat can go on his little adventure outside of my backyard. Just add a few stripes to his back here, and then obviously we need to fix the matter of his minor decapitation that has been a vast majority of this video. He's been without a head, which I will probably make a cartoon with him with SCP-049 based on his recovery from surgery, just as a little joke. So, anyway, now we're going to attach his head, and I think we're going to call it good and take him on a little tour of the backyard. Anyway. a like if you enjoyed the content, comment below what you think of the project, share it with your friends, and perhaps consider subscribing if you're new. Anyway, that's enough from me. Till next time, well, maybe not quite take it easy yet, because, well, of course there's always an incident with Scrat while he's on his pursuit for the nut.